take a step back. Look back at Cooper's Pen 1 week on. And the reason I revisit Cooper's Pen is because of the very many different issues that have come to the fore and that demand consideration from the Cooper's Pen incident. So that's why I'm going back there. So take a step back. 1 week after Cooper's Pen. And ask yourself, why is this issue so big? Why has it consumed so much airtime? Why has it been constantly spoken about since Tuesday? The answer is simple. It's a simple answer that will be unpopular with some, rejected by them. But us sensible people know what is what. There was a time when you could say, if it quacks like a duck, walks like a duck, it is a duck. These days, because people know that if it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, you will say it's a duck. They'll build something to do those things, to ape a duck's behavior and the conduct, into fooling you to thinking it's a duck. But will someone in the room join me in acknowledging that Cooper's Pen was all about building a political garrison? And who among you will hear me say that and say I'm wrong? And what basis would cause you to say that I am wrong for concluding, for all we've heard, 19 years worth of court wranglings, hoops invented and jumped through, almost to the point where heaven and earth were almost moved to separate a landowner from their land. And if we go by the logic that supported the actions to remove the landowner, to separate the landowner from their land, the landowner was not Jamaican apparently, because the refrain is Jamaicans deserve land. So clearly the landowner does not deserve land, so he's not Jamaican. We can conclude that based on their logic. And the two, by virtue of owning land, the landowner has demonstrated the means to acquire land, and so can acquire more land. Essentially, that forms part of the basis. Professor Rex Nettleford would say the plinth of the argument that motivated those who tried to separate this landowner from his land. And we can spin it every way we want to spin it. We can look at it many different ways, examine it like this mouse or like this phone. Yeah? You're going to come back to the same thing. The mission to build a political garrison, to secure votes, to secure the passage of the party through the electoral channel into a position of power. That is the reason for Cooper's Pen having been an issue since 2007 and still being an issue today. It's not love for the people. Those who've done what they've done over 19 years, they don't love the individuals in Cooper's Pen. When they started, they didn't look at the youngsters as people they loved. They looked at the youngsters as, in 6 years' time, you're going to be eligible for vote. You're going to remember what I did, what my party did, to secure this piece of property for you and your family. You're going to vote for me because you're going to be indebted to me. And I can call in that debt. And the debt of a house or a piece of property is a generational debt. Because I still have people, three and a half generations deep, who say, I'm voting for that party because they would give me great-grandmother one house. That's how deep it runs. And it will be easy to say that's the thinking of the dunce Jamaican, but it's not quite fair to say that. People based on their value system, the way they've been cultured, the way they've been raised, and their level of exposure. It's not sometimes dunceness, it's just a lack of those things, a lack of exposure, a lack of awareness when growing up that causes their thinking to be narrow. The narrow thinker is not necessarily a dunce thinker. But you reason with that narrow thinker, and they allow themselves to listen to reason, and then emerging will be the ability to reconcile different positions. And they say, boy, you know, through your talking, I've been looking at this thing all wrong. And then a change happens. But the politicians never countenanced that among the people that they were championing, the people whose rights they were looking to assert. They didn't look and see people in Cooper's Pen all these years ago. They saw votes. Votes now and votes to come. And they wanted to ensure that, listen, it's the command we have this piece of land and know more about it. Government badness can't be overcome. We're going to ensure that you hold on to this piece of property. How much people in your house? 7. And you say your sister down there, so? How much picnic she have? 3? Alright, good. And your auntie around there, so? And she breed for one man who live over there, so? And your cousin live over there, so? And then I'm head, him start match it out. Blur it neat. 33 vote that, you know. Right now. Local government were good. Parish council election. General election be nice. And if I get you to capture this land and keep it, many even have a communist come campaign. I don't even have to campaign here. I don't even have to campaign here. I call to the big yard them and say, what go on? Do what you do. Because you don't know. Yes, Mr. So-and-so. It's always a mister. Poor women. So that's what Cooper's Pen was about. You know, love of people. See, the politicians now riding to the scene like crusaders with the banner and their standard raised high, leaping off their horses. We are here to champion the cause of the people. Rubbish. We, in the rest of the country and the rest of the events that we do, we see people because we have to. Someone may say, but George, politicians have to see votes and voters because that's what they do. They're in the business of winning elections. And that's true. But sometimes the moralism of our politicians overflows and they start believing the lies they tell. They start believing in the constructs that they create. And they speak with conviction when they tell you that, oh my God, I love the people. No, my youth, we know you love vote. And legendary is the politician who successfully builds a garrison. Everybody wants that against their name, you know. I did build so-and-so in that constituency. I built so-and-so in that division. I gave you land. And that's what Cooper's pen was about. Break time. Back with more after these. So much of, well, flip it then. So many of our people have over time been working and can't see an avenue to home ownership. So many. And near to where they work, they see land. And they take a chance. Catch a little thing on the land, on a piece of the land, live. People follow them, and suddenly an informal community springs up. And then, years later, they can regularize themselves and get titles. And out of those homes come good Jamaicans who, by their work, their little contribution, help to build this country. And it's a reality and a fact that we can't ignore. From as early as when Professor Carl Stone was doing his work, the literature on land squatting in Jamaica, and if you use Professor Stone's work as the marker, so from there forward, they'll tell you that about 20% of Jamaicans live on captured land. Yeah, about 20%. And many of those have been diligent once they've occupied a piece of land that is not theirs. And they have built, and they have paid the taxman, or in this case the taxwoman, the finance minister is a woman. They pay property taxes, and they have a little strong box that they lock the receipts in, praying for a day to come when they can go to the authorities to say, this is my record of paying for this piece of property. I would like to get a title for it. And many of those have been successful. Many of those people have been successful. And those people who've done so have not been criminals, have eaten bread by the sweat of their brow, and have meant the country well, and have voted in elections for whichever party they believe can do best for them and their children and their families. Hostage to no guy, hostage to no party, dependent on no guy, dependent on no party, but vote based on how they see things. And there are many of those. And part of the tragedy of this conversation, and because this conversation has had to have hard parts in it, I'm sure some of those people feel as if others are persecuting them for the route they've taken to home ownership, and perhaps even thumbing our noses at them and how they hustled the system to make something of themselves. And I want to say to those people this morning that no, we want you to listen keenly and hear what we've been saying. Because in the same way, most of you were not dependent on a political sponsor to run to court on your behalf. You did it on your own. We're not talking about you. And nobody is saying that, boy, land left unoccupied, private land left unoccupied for decades, 30, 40 years, and you put something on it and whatever, and it worked out for you. Not thumbing our noses at you at all, not throwing shade your way. And even so, remember what the judge said in the Cooper's Pen matter. He called the defendants gullible. He said they were gullible. They were fooled by the politicians. He also said that the politicians made a promise telling the people that they can occupy. Go ahead and occupy. We will sort it out. So that's where the criticism is directed. And not at you others, you many others. Because a whole heap of Jamaica. I mean, every town, on the outskirts of every town, you have a place called Capture Land. You have Capture Land on Old Harbour, you have Capture Land on Spanish Town, you have Capture Land everywhere. A place called Capture Land. When I was in high school, I remember my friends who lived in Portmore. Back in the early 90s, for sure, the bus that used to run from Spanish Town to Portmore to Bayside was a P6. Yeah? A P6, and I'm sure my memory is right. A P6. So the P6 from Spanish Town to Bayside. And a lot of the boys at Jonathan Grant and girls lived in Portmore. A whole heap of them. There were arguably more Portmore people in my class in grade 7 than there were Spanish Town and people from elsewhere in St. Catherine. And they used to tease, children are. They used to tease some of the students, especially the boys from Christian Penn. So the Christian Penn boys and the Gregory Park boys, they used to tease some of our friends. Just good fun. Tease them because they said they lived in Lesser Portmore. So I was always asking, Brethren, which part name Lesser Portmore? We don't know Lesser Portmore. And they were explaining to me where Lesser Portmore was. Dyke Road side in the Capture Land. Look at it now. I'm sure some of those boys who would have graduated with me and went overseas and came back now to go into Christian Penn, to go into Gregory Park, to go Hamilton Gardens, to go down the road to Meadowvale, near Caymanas Park, the back gate. Now they see Lesser Portmore, them can't believe the place is developed. Lesser Portmore, as they call it, was Capture Land. No, it's a very nice community. Very, very nice. They host them nice when you drive past on the Dyke Road, when they cut down the thing and you can sit in there. Yeah, man, I said, wait. How which part Lesser Portmore gone, you can't call it. It have all kind of fancy names now, the area in there. But that was not the creation, that was not the product of any attempt to create a political garrison. That was just people who lived in or around Portmore, who want to find some land and just occupy, and it worked out. So a lot of the sins of the past, the political sins, have now been exposed. A lot of our politicians have been exposed. And we can go through the court records, we can look at what a judge said, we can look at the actions of a political party, of an administration in power. And we can see what people said and did, and we can reconcile those actions and words against what they're doing now. And this is part of the reason why this station is not liked. Because unlike some other people who call themselves journalists, drink rum till late, smoke cigarette, don't bathe, wake up, don't bathe, go on radio, and just talk off the top of their head, which is very shallow. Because the bad living crowds out the ability to critically think and the appetite for research. We go back and we look and we can say, well, Mr. So-and-so, how are you saying so-and-so now? When you said and did this then? And you'd be amazed because you out there listening to me and saying, George, don't be ridiculous. Nobody could dislike you for doing that. Yes, they do. Because that's what we do. And there are men especially in this profession who've been married to journalism for a long time and have no children with it. And they're the ones talking a lot of tosh. And it is their standard that they use to expect journalists to function by. No research, no reading, just turn up on vibes. Talk off the top of your head and hope that you find something sensible to ask or say. And we who commit to the craft, do the reading, do the research, so that we always have a basis for reference when looking at something that's happening now. We are the enemy. And we are told that we are biased. Well, what a thing. When we can clip this. If that is bias, I shall be biased forever. Break time. Back with more after these.